Portland, Oregon is my city. It is awesome if you're into retro video games.
8-bit joystick.
I'm here at the Burnside Bridge, and I moved to Portland, Oregon 6 years ago, and I love it. It's one of the best cities in the world for retro video games. So if you're coming to town for the Portland Retro Gaming Expo or just checking out the city, I'll show you all the awesome retro game stores, arcades, and the best places to eat and the best places to buy cool retro stuff.
Portland, Oregon is a weird, eclectic city, but we like it like that. Portland revels in its strangeness. The city has always been a refuge for weirdos, outcasts, creatives, eccentrics, and auteurs. Portland has a vibrant music scene, culinary scene, and the embrace of the weird and strange definitely carries over into its video game culture. I'm going to show you rad places all over the city. This is in stark contrast to all the official Oregon tourism stuff, which seems to exclusively show people the same couple blocks downtown.
So I'm going to show you what's in the rest of the city and make sure you get to the east of the Willamette River.
Now, on to the game stores. There are kick-ass retro game stores all over the city, except for downtown. Most of them are going to be at the Portland Retro Gaming Expo, so call first to see if they're open before going to one next weekend. It wouldn't be right unless I started this video off with TOTL Games. Their new location is directly across the street from the Oregon Convention Center. So if you're going to the Portland Retro Gaming Expo, you can actually cross the street to get to the biggest retro game store in the Pacific Northwest. It's run by Lindsay, Marcy, and a team of really awesome people who are dedicated to selling all sorts of awesome nerdy stuff. But they also have a decent selection of import snacks, plushies, board games, Gundam models, Warhammer stuff, model paints and accessories, collectible competitive card games, and they just started selling CRT TVs. This location used to be a Japanese-American grocery store, and their back room is now a huge community gathering space that hosts board games, Gunpla assembly events, and gaming tournaments. I can't wait to see what they do with their awesome new space. Once upon a time, there was a local physical media chain called CD Game Exchange. They went out of business, however, they turned into two awesome independent game stores. There is SideQuest Games down in Milwaukee, Oregon, and then there is Hawthorne Game Exchange on Hawthorne Boulevard in Portland. This isn't the biggest store, however, it is jam-packed with awesome stuff and is run by awesome people. They have a good amount of trade-ins, and they are always cycling through their stock and putting new games out on the shelves. They also test every single system and game that they sell, and they service and repair systems. I've had many of my game systems worked on there, and they replace all of the batteries in my Game Boy games. This is the closest retro game store, and when I made my video about why you should support local independent retro game stores, this is one of the stores that I was thinking about. You owe it to yourself to go to Hawthorne Game Exchange. Final Form is way the heck out in St. John's, which is technically still Portland, Oregon, but you need to cross a bridge or two to get there. Final Form makes good use of every single square inch of retail space available to them. Everywhere you look, you're going to see awesome retro stuff. They also have a selection of vinyl records, some VHS tapes, and it's a great place to buy a VCR. Make sure that you check their hours before you head over there. You should totally head over to St. John's and check out Final Form Games. Flip Flop Games is the city's newest retro game store in Northeast Portland by Kenton. They are definitely still growing, but they have a decent amount of retro game stuff, and they do have some certifiable bangers. They also have some retro PC games. The owner is a swell guy and is actually a viewer of this channel. If you're headed over to Final Form, you owe it to yourself to swing by Flip Flop because you probably have to drive by it in order to get back to the rest of the city. Two great tastes together at last. The original Video Game Wizards location is about an hour's drive south of Portland in Moala, but this one is in southeast Portland off Foster. When I was filming, they were dog-sitting the cutest, friendliest puppy who really wanted me to throw the ball for them, so I obliged. Video Game Wizards is a bit of a mixed bag. Sometimes they're really good, and sometimes improvement is definitely needed. Some of their merchandise is uncleaned and untested, and they do have some items that are unpriced so that the clerk will look them up on price charting and eBay before deciding what they want to charge for it. And normally that's a bit of a red flag for me. But I'm trying to not be a hater. I'm trying to be honest, and that being said, I've gotten some really good stuff there in the past.
Now, in case you're wondering, what about side quest games, Retro Game Trader, Double Jump Games, and Tapper's Retro Games and Toys? This video is just about Portland, Oregon, and they're in the surrounding towns. I plan on covering them in future videos, so you better subscribe. Please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. It really helps out, and you get more rad videos.
The arcade dream of the 1980s is alive in Portland. Over on the east end of Hawthorne Boulevard is Quarterworld. It is phenomenally dope. There's a really big pinball scene here, and I respect people who are big into pinball. I am terrible at pinball, and I always have been. But I respect people who are big into pinball, vinyl records, mini discs, and laser discs, even though I don't partake in said hobbies. Quarterworld has a ton of arcade games, pinball, and is a freaking blast for people of all ages. Ground Kontrol is the OG retro gaming arcade in downtown Portland. It is cool, cyberpunk, and it has really great vibes. They also have pretty damn good food and drinks here. It is pretty close to Powell's City of Books, and there's actually a Mac stop right in front of it. Their machines are set to play off a card, or they have unlimited play days where you can play all the games for a flat fee. Ground Kontrol has represented arcade game culture in Portland for a long time, and they've been getting it right. Retro Game Bar on the north end of MLK is basically like a sports bar, but instead of being all about sports, it's about retro video games. But the big draw is that they have a ton of game consoles and games that you could play by the hour. I greatly approve of its pretty dank selections of game consoles, and they have era-appropriate CRT TVs to play them on. Portland is a place that likes to eat. They have so many awesome restaurants and a cutting-edge food cart culture. We have food cart pods all over the city. So, I bet you were expecting me to go to Voodoo Donuts. Well, I'm not. I'm going to encourage you to go to Doe's Donuts in the Hollywood district of Portland. It is awesome. They make big, damn good artisanal donuts that are fluffy and tasty. Now, the entire place is all vegan, and they make really, really great donuts and ice cream. I'm not vegan, but I'm lactose intolerant, so it's a real treat to get creamy donuts and ice cream without worrying about it. The workers at Voodoo Donuts unionize for better wages and working conditions, and then the bosses use the pandemic shutdown to fire every last union worker, that is, the Donut Worker United, illegally. They failed to stop the union, and so that's one reason why I get my hipster donuts from Doe's Donuts instead. Portland, Oregon might not have invented the food cart pod, but we took it to the next level of tastiness. The first food cart pod that I fell in love with is Cartopia on Hawthorne. This is at the bottom of the hill, and it is cozy, tasty, and super chill. It's a great place to go on a date, have a bite to eat, and even take your parents. I especially like Potato Champion for poutine, Pyro's Pizza for wood-fired pizza, and Bottle Rocket for burgers, and Chicken and Guns for really, really good roast chicken. Hawthorne Asylum is a newer food cart pod that sort of wants to be Cartopia, and that's fine. It's also a stone's throw away from Cartopia, but it's pretty big and there are a lot of awesome businesses there. Chin's Kitchen is an old school Chinese American restaurant that really hasn't changed too much over the years. They make really, really good handmade noodles and all the stuff that you expect to get from a Chinese American restaurant. I'm always a sucker for their lunch menu. They were on the Guy Fieri show one time, and by God, they're not going to live that down, and they have a little shrine to the tasty bearded one. But they're known for pretty damn good dumplings. Sizzle Pie is the closest thing that you're going to get to a hipster Chuck E. Cheese. It is a local pizza chain and they specialize in some decent thin crust pizza. As I said earlier, I am lactose intolerant and they always have at least two vegan pizzas by the slice that I can have without ending up poisoned. Another awesome thing is that they're open late night and I mostly work swing shift, so it's great to be able to get a hot slice before bed. I swear, the Central East Side location does about half of their business feeding the hungry, drunken crowds after the concerts and shows end. Sizzle Pie is tasty, hip, and fun. Portland is the place to be if you're into shopping for anything vintage and retro. Right at Southeast Powell and Southeast Foster is Variety Records. It is super easy to drive past this place, but you shouldn't do that because it is amazeballs if you're into VHS and DVD. Now, the name suggests that they have vinyl records, and they do. But what really sets this place apart is its amazing selection of TV and movies on DVD, some Blu rays, and a ton of VHS. My God, do they have a lot of VHS! I probably have purchased more than 50% of my entire VHS collection from this place. The VHS tapes in the second room are priced individually, but the back room is $1 a tape. And there's just something nostalgic and magical about watching a movie on VHS, especially if it's one that you saw as a kid, and doubly so if you're watching it on a CRT TV. This is the place to go to get your own rad, dank VHS stash of movies and tapes. Whenever I wear my Blockbuster Video hoodie or t shirt, I get people telling me that renting videos was awesome. And then I drop the truth bomb on them that there's a real honest to God kick ass video store right here in Portland, Oregon, and it's over on Belmont Street called Movie Madness. This place is phenomenal. It is huge. It is a temple to the religion of physical media and cinema. It is a bold testament to the choice and variety that having physical movies and TV shows on a physical form. They have amassed quite an incredible selection, and you could rent them for a pittance, and the monetary transaction helps keep them afloat. This is the same organization that also runs the Hollywood Theater over in the Hollywood district of Portland, which I also greatly enjoy. But the power level of the selection that they have here is just quite literally off the chart. So, say you want to watch the out of print Battle Angel Alita anime, they have it. Say you want to watch the surreal but brilliant anime Cat Soup, they have it. And say you want to watch the Garbage Pail Kids movie, well, they have it. So everyone is nostalgic for the last blockbuster in Bend, Oregon, and rightly so, but Movie Madness is right here and keeping the video rental dream of the 90s alive in Portland. I come from a family of readers. My father probably has more books than any other worldly possession. And I probably have more video games than books, but it is close, and I'll probably keep buying more. So when my parents come to town, they will want to go to the big Powell's City of Books in downtown. And don't get me wrong, Powell's Prime is amazing. However, they no longer have parking, and there are actually multiple Powell's locations around the area. There is Powell's Books at Cedar Hills Crossing out west in Beaverton, Oregon, and even Powell's Books at PDX International Airport. But the store that I want to recommend that you check out is Powell's Books on Hawthorne Boulevard. It's not as big as downtown Powell's, but it's pretty good. And you've got all the awesome stuff that you'd want in a Powell's bookstore, but it's actually easy to get to. You can even look up their website and see what book is available at each location. Powell's Books on Hawthorne Boulevard is a convenient, bite sized, accessible package that goes down smooth with no aftertaste. On Google Maps, you can look up vintage, antique, and retro shops in Portland, and it's going to light up like Western Oregon during wildfire season. That's a depressing local global warming joke. The places where you can buy things that are old and awesome are quite literally all over the map. Antique Alley in the Hollywood district of Portland is cozy and well lit and super chill. There's a little bit of everything at this place. There is a smattering of movies, games, and electronics. Some cities and towns will have a vintage retro shop or two. Well, Portland has dozens of shops like this all over the place. The retro vintage dream of the 90s is truly alive in Portland. Vintage and retro clothing shops are all over Hawthorne Avenue. In East Portland, there are these small commercial areas around the major streets and our nearby residential neighborhoods. This includes parts of Mississippi, Belmont, and Hawthorne Avenue. But if you're already going to Hawthorne Game Exchange, then you should absolutely check out all the awesome retro clothing shops nearby. There are also many used bookstores, record stores, and this is a place to get all the hip, dope vintage clothing of yesteryear. Portland is just a freaking great place to wander in and out of all the shops, and Portland is a place that really cares about the past, and you get that feeling from Hawthorne. By the way, the river is pronounced Willamette, the street is pronounced Cooch Street, and the state is pronounced Oregon. And while I'm getting pedantic about pronunciation, there is no R in Washington. Just remember, Willamette, Cooch Street, Oregon. And someone is going to offer to pump your gas, but it's illegal to pump your own gas if you want to.
Tune in next week, since the videos will be at the Portland Retro Gaming Expo, and I'm planning videos for each 3 days of the expo. Hey, since you stayed to the end, you should totally check out my video on the Seattle, the University District Retro Gamers Travel Guide. Thanks for watching. This is 8-Bit Joystick. Stay awesome, play retro.